Welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin. Today on Yummo, we're going to be making a cauliflower pizza, and that's going to be the crust of it's going to be in cauliflower. I'm going to take you through the steps and show you exactly what you should do and shouldn't do when spreading out the dough. And it's going to be a lot different texture than using flour dough. So if you go too thin with it, it will burn. If you go too thick, it won't cook right. And if you put the wrong ingredients, it won't taste right either. So we're going to try to imitate Donato's style cauliflower pizza. So if you've never had that before, if you're not in an area with cauliflower or with a Donato's that has that cauliflower pizza, it is really freaking good. So actually I prefer it probably as much as I do a thin crust pizza. Now that I do keto diet or a low carb diet, this is a really good alternative to pizza. Really helps me in those cravings that I have for pizza. So I'm gonna get started. And while I do that, if you go ahead and smash that like button, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out with YouTube algorithms. And if you want to see my future videos and be notified, you'll need to tap that little subscription button there and tap the notification bell so you get notified when I do put out new videos. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started and get all my ingredients and show you how to construct this cauliflower pizza. Now, as always, I'm always going to have all the ingredients listed below, so your shopping list is right in the description at the bottom of this video. So you're going to need cauliflower, Parmesan cheese, egg, and you can use olive oil, or in my case, I'm using avocado oil. You're going to need a grater, a knife, and a cutting board to catch the florets when you shred them. So there is a process to this, and show you how easy it is to make a cauliflower pizza. So first you want to prepare the cauliflower. Use a sharp knife. I'm going to have links for all this. Anything I ever use in my videos, I try to put a link at the bottom. Just in case you guys are interested and you want them, you'll have access to them. So we're just cutting out the core. Okay, we got a really nice looking head of cauliflower here. This is going to give us plenty enough cauliflower to make a pizza. This is going to give us about a 10-inch pizza. Maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, but somewhere around 10 inches. And it's going to be a super thin, well, not super thin, because if you do that, then you're going to burn the pizza. And I'm going to show you that process here in just a minute. But let's chop off the florets. So we want to get these down to where we can grate them. And I like doing them individually, because if you don't use all of this to get your 2 cups of cauliflower, because that's how much you're going to need, you can use these for making cauliflower chicken wings, which I will be making. And when I do make that recipe, I'll put a link above right at this time, and you can click on that and see how to make cauliflower chicken wings. But for today's, we're just going to stick with a pizza. And it does go good to have cauliflower chicken wings and cauliflower pizza. And like I said, I'm on a ketogenic diet. I've lost 45 pounds in about 2.5 months. So this stuff works. Now that we have that cleaned up, let's grade this. You're going to see this size of the grater. That's too big for what we're wanting to do. We want to go down to the smallest one that we have on this one. This one doesn't do it for me, and I'll show you why. It just kind of clogs it up. Let's grab a little piece. See, it just kind of gets stuck. There's nothing that really falls through it. So you don't want to use this one. You want to use this one. So it's going to make it really fine. And you don't want to use the stalks, and this could make a little bit of a mess, so just be careful. Don't go crazy on your grating. You see, I take it down to about like that. These are too big, so I'll set these to the side. Just like that. Show it some love. Be soft with it. All right, we have 2 cups of cauliflower. Now remember when I told you there was a process? You wouldn't want to just throw this in a bowl and mix it up right now. We gotta take this over to the skillet. We're not gonna boil it, we're not gonna do any of that. We're gonna put it to the skillet, we're gonna cook it on medium heat, and I'll show you kind of where you wanna take the brownness of this at before you pull it off and let it cool. So let's move over to the stove. Now you wanna turn your burner on medium low. So you wanna go a little bit below medium. And you're not gonna add any oil or anything in your skillet. You're just gonna add your shredded cauliflower. What you're trying to accomplish here is to get the water out of the cauliflower itself. That's just gonna make for a terrible crust if you don't get all that water out. You're gonna wanna cook your cauliflower for about 15 minutes or until you hear that sizzle, that water evaporate completely out of the pan. And you can start seeing we're getting a little bit of sticking at the bottom. That's completely fine, but you'll see that none of the cauliflower is burnt. So you don't want to burn the cauliflower or overcook it or anything like that. Take it slow. 15 minutes should do it. And then you want to turn off your burner and remove your cauliflower and let it cool. Now that we have the cauliflower cooked, we're going to let it cool for just a little bit, because if you take this and put it in this glass bowl, it's going to condensate, it's going to get more water in it. You don't want to do that. Just be patient with it for just a second. You're going to have a really good cauliflower crust. And we have our parchment paper ready. So we just got that set in the pan. We'll kind of put this off to the side. We're just preparing. We're going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 425 degrees. While we're waiting on our cauliflower to cool down, we went ahead and prepared our pan. And I got one of these pans that have like diamond divots, or that push up whatever you're cooking on it so air can get under the bottom of it. We're going to be using parchment paper, so that effect doesn't really help out a ton, but I still feel like it does. And if you're interested in a pan like this, I'll put it in the description below. Also, do you want really good cauliflower pizza crust, or do you want simple cauliflower crust? I want really good pizza, so we're going to take an extra step. Most people don't do this. We've already fried the cauliflower, went through that process. We're waiting for it to cool down, but now we're going to take a paper towel. When it gets cool enough to manage, we're going to put it on a paper towel and get the excess water out of it, because the drier you can get the cauliflower, the better. And now that we have it strained, we want to set it over here. Let's just set it there, because we want to put our egg. So we're going to start putting this together. And you see that I squeezed it so hard that it busted a little bit of the cauliflower out. That's completely fine. We don't want to waste it, and I'm just going to put that in there. Let's get everything here. So let's put our egg in. While we're preparing this, let's step over to the oven and preheat the oven to 425 degrees. Now that we have that heating up, let's prepare this. Let's put our egg. We want to beat that just a little bit. You can do this with a fork, or you can do this with this tiny whisk that I have. Let's add the cauliflower. Look at that, how smashed it. I mean, I smashed it. But that's what you want. You want to get it as dry as possible. You don't want a wet cauliflower. Not for this recipe. So after you fry it on the pan for a bit, make sure to run it through this. If you have a cheesecloth, it's even better. I just like this paper towel simply because it's a really tough paper towel, and I can dispose of it and don't have to clean it. So let's mix and add our cheese. Okay, I'm gonna mix this well. Make sure everything's incorporated together before putting it on the parchment paper and spreading it out. Now we don't want to forget our avocado oil, and we're just gonna put about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. So that's plenty right there. Make sure not to waste any of this. Kind of get it off our spoon. Clean up a little bit right now. Bring our pan in. Let's put this right in the center. You see, it doesn't look like much of a dough right this second, but we'll get it coming together in just a minute. So let's kind of get everything incorporated here. Start making our pizza. Now, we're gonna make it exactly like you would a pizza, and we're gonna make the outsides. It's important not to get the outside too thin, because it's gonna look burnt if you do. And this is a huge, huge pan. And if you push out too much, you'll start getting separation. Like this, you'll start getting cracking. Just take your hand and build it back. right? As you push out, push in with your hand, and that's what creates that that sidewall. We're going to take this pretty thin. I've seen recipes call for it to be a little bit thicker. I think it turns out better when it's super thin, but it's just the outside cannot be super thin. So we just keep working it. Put your hand out there as a barrier, and you see what's happening here. If I went like this, you'll see how it starts cracking. Just take your hand, and I'll show you. Like this right there, and you'll have a nice edge. And I'm going to do that all the way around the pizza. So that's our cauliflower pizza dough. Now that we have this pressed out, we're going to want to put it in the oven for at least 15 minutes. So you want to check on it periodically after 10 minutes. But for at least 15 minutes, I think, pretty much for every oven, could go up to about 18 minutes depending on your oven. 425 degrees. If your pizza does this, which is a possibility, you just come in with a knife. Don't cut the parchment paper, just poke a hole. Deflate it. Very important. You don't want it to be bubbling like that. So we've been cooking for exactly 16 minutes. And I think that's going to give us a perfect pizza today. That's what the baby looks like. Now we're going to let this cool for a couple minutes before we add the toppings. And the reason you want to do that is give it time to really come together. And I know it's been cooking, so you want it to let it cool and kind of come together before you add the toppings, because you're going to put a wet topping on top of the dough. You don't want to do that immediately with a cauliflower pizza. So we're going to let it cool for a couple minutes, and then you can add whatever toppings you would like. Today we're adding just red sauce, our mozzarella, and salami and pepperoni. Let me show you how this crust kind of stays together. If you pull it up, you're going to see it doesn't fall apart. That is a good alternative to just regular pizza dough, the flour doughs. And if you're on a keto diet or a low carb diet, this is going to be something you definitely want to try. Try this recipe. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment below and tell me how yours turned out. Were you able to do this? We're still letting it cool down, but I might take it off the parchment paper, and then put my toppings on it on the bottom of this pan to give me a little bit more. I think I will, to give me a little bit more of a crust on the bottom. So that's how I'm going to do that. You could definitely leave yours on the parchment paper if you would like. This pan's non-stick. It's not going to have a problem come off of it. And I'm just doing it because it has these diamonds on it that gives me a lift and gets airflow underneath the bottom of the pizza. Now that this is cooled down, I turned my oven down to 325 degrees. We're going to add the toppings. And like I said before, you can add whatever toppings you want. If you want to make this a white sauce pizza, which will be really good and will be the next one that we make, we kind of alternate the red pizzas to the white pizzas. It's completely fine to do that. Do I put the cheese on first or do I put the meat on first? Cheese. Because I just think it makes it look prettier when you put the meat on last. Super keto friendly, as long as you have good quality cheese. Let's get in the oven. Now that's what a pizza's supposed to look like. Let's get this bad boy sliced up. So do you like it in squares or do you like it in triangles? I think I'm gonna go with triangles today. I'm gonna cut it for 8 slices. Now before I try this, I wanna ask you, will you hit that thumbs up button for me? They really, really appreciate it. All right, let's take a bite. Let me be serious with you guys for just a minute. That is really good pizza. And if you like thin crust, I really believe this is better than just flour thin crust pizza. I would pick this every day of the week. Take a look at that. I don't know if you can see it if it's focusing, but this is some really good pizza. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel. Please take a moment and like the video. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you tried to make the recipe that I've got here for you today. And if you like this type of stuff that I'm putting out, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap that little notification bell so when I do put out new videos, you get notified. Until the next time, I'll see you in the next video.